They will try to distract you. They'll whisper doubts, throw shade, and question your worth. But here's the truth. The moment you stop seeking validation, the moment you stop looking sideways, and the moment you decide to focus solely on yourself, that's when everything changes. Most people spend their lives trying to please others. They try to fit into molds that weren't built for them. They waste time explaining themselves, defending their moves, and proving their worth. But here's a powerful truth. You don't owe anyone anything but your best self, the version of you that shows up every day with intention, vision, and grit. Because attitude is everything. It shapes your mindset, influences your behavior, and determines your altitude in life. You either live by design or by default. You either take control of your focus or let the noise dictate your destiny. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually listened to yourself? Not the voices around you, not the pressure, not the critics, just you. Because the person you ignore the most is the person you need the most. You. In today's hyper-connected world, most people are drowning in noise without even realizing it. Every swipe, every scroll, every notification pulls your attention further and further away from yourself. Social media has created a culture of comparison where people are no longer listening to their own voice. They're listening to the voices of strangers, influencers, critics, and fake stand. That noise is loud. It's constant. And if you don't consciously protect your focus, it will consume you. The opinions, the highlights, the pressure to perform, it can feel overwhelming. And the more you give your energy to it, the more you lose connection with your real identity. You see, people are struggling not because they lack talent or opportunity, but because they've forgotten how to be still with themselves. They've forgotten how to trust their inner compass. The world has trained them to look outside for approval, for answers, for validation. But the truth is, everything you need is already within you. The problem is, you can't hear it if you're always tuned into everything else. There's a powerful difference between the noise and the voice. The noise is what distracts you. It's loud, flashy, demanding, and temporary. It wants your attention, but offers no real direction. The voice is what guides you. It's calm, steady, truthful, and eternal. It wants your growth, not your applause. But it doesn't scream. It doesn't force itself into your awareness. It waits patiently for you to turn down the volume of the world and tune into yourself. And that's why focus is everything. Because when you focus on yourself, you start to realign with your own voice. You stop being a puppet of outside forces and start becoming the author of your own path. You begin to see clearly what actually matters and what's just noise dressed up as importance. The drama, the comparisons, the unnecessary opinions, they all lose their grip on you when your attention shifts inward. Most people don't realize how much they're influenced by things that don't matter. They form opinions not based on truth, but on trends. They make decisions not based on wisdom, but on fear of missing out. They chase dreams not because they're passionate, but because they're pressured. And then they wonder why they feel disconnected, anxious, or empty. It's because they've stopped listening to themselves. You can't build a meaningful life if you're always chasing someone else's version of success. You can't grow if your attention is scattered. You can't become your best self if you're more concerned with other people's timelines than your own. Focusing on yourself is not selfish, it's survival. It's the only way to know what's right for you, what you need to heal, what you need to pursue, and what you need to release. When you reclaim your focus, you reclaim your power, you begin to notice how much time you used to waste trying to fit in, trying to impress, trying to be someone you're not. You realize how much noise you allowed into your mind, noise that shaped your identity, your self-worth, and your choices. And once you recognize that, you can change it. You can shift your focus from pleasing others to building yourself, from chasing validation to creating value, from being reactive to becoming intentional. This doesn't mean you become isolated or indifferent. It means you become deeply aware. aware of where your attention goes, who influences your mindset, and how external noise affects your internal peace. It means you start filtering what gets access to your mind. You don't have to engage with everything. You don't have to respond to every opinion. When you focus on yourself, you build clarity, and clarity is power. It allows you to make decisions based on alignment instead of anxiety. It allows you to say no without guilt and yes without fear. It allows you to move with confidence because your direction is no longer based on the crowd. It's based on your calling. You don't need to be everywhere. You just need to be present with yourself. You don't need to compete with anyone. You just need to become more aligned with your own path. Focus allows you to remove the clutter and see what actually matters. And what matters most is that you stop living your life reacting to the noise and start responding to the truth inside you. Attitude is the silent force that shapes how you respond to everything in life. It's not just about being positive or cheerful. It's much deeper than that. It's the lens through which you view the world, the filter through which you interpret your circumstances, and the mindset that determines your reactions when life doesn't go as planned. Attitude is everything because it determines whether you rise or fall, whether you break or bend, whether you give up or grow stronger. It's the foundation beneath every action, every thought, and every choice you make. And if your attitude is weak, no amount of talent, opportunity, or support can save you from self-sabotage. People often think success is about resources, money, connections, or education. But the truth is, the most powerful resource you'll ever have is your mindset. Because attitude doesn't rely on what you have. It's based on what you believe. Two people can go through the exact same situation. One sees it as the end, the other sees it as the beginning. One sees a setback, the other sees a setup. One complains, the other creates. The difference isn't what happened. It's how they think about what happened. That's the power of attitude. Life will test you. It will challenge your patience, your resilience, and your faith. It will throw unexpected pain, betrayal, loss, and failure your way. You can't control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you respond to it. And that's what defines your life. It's not the pain itself. It's the meaning you give to the pain. It's not the failure. It's how you choose to interpret that failure. Your attitude determines whether obstacles become dead ends or stepping stones. It decides whether you stay stuck in the past or move forward with wisdom. There are people with incredible potential who never rise because they've adopted a victim mindset. They blame, complain, and expect life to change without taking responsibility. Then there are others who've been through unthinkable hardship, yet they shine with unbreakable strength. What separates them isn't privilege, it's attitude. It's the belief that no matter what happens, you have the power to rise. That belief changes everything. It pushes you to keep going when it would be easier to quit. It forces you to see the lesson in the storm. It reminds you that you're not defined by your circumstances, but by how you respond to them. Attitude is the internal voice that tells you to get back up. It's the mental armor that shields you from bitterness and regret. When you carry the right attitude, you become unstoppable, not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. Your attitude trains your mind to see through the fog, to push through the pressure, and to find the path, even when everything feels uncertain. And that's when you become dangerous, not to others, but to your own limitations. A strong attitude isn't something you're born with, it's something you train. It's built through daily choices. When you decide to show up even though no one's clapping, when you choose discipline over comfort, when you hold on to vision even when your current reality doesn't match it, each time you choose strength over fear, you're developing an unshakable mindset. And eventually that mindset becomes your superpower. It turns breakdowns into breakthroughs and pain into purpose. Your attitude influences your energy, and your energy influences your outcomes. If you carry negativity, you attract negativity. If you carry faith, you attract growth. The way you speak to yourself, the way you carry yourself, the way you interpret life's challenges, all of it flows from your attitude. You can't afford to move through life with a mindset that expects defeat and then wonder why you never win. What you expect, you attract. And your expectations are born from your beliefs. That's why you must protect your attitude like it's the most valuable thing you own, because it is. People will try to influence it. Life will try to break it. Circumstances will try to poison it. But only you can control what gets in and what stays out. Your mind is your battlefield. You win or lose the war inside before you ever see results outside. Every day you have a choice. You can let life define your attitude, or you can let your attitude define your life. In a world obsessed with attention, standing out has become a form of survival. Everyone is trying to be seen, to be heard, to be recognized. But while most people chase visibility through noise, the truly powerful ones become undeniable through presence. And presence is built in silence, not in the spotlight. It comes from a deep inner knowing, a confidence that doesn't beg, a strength that doesn't shout. To be truly respected, to be someone who leaves an impact without even trying, you must learn to master your energy. That mastery begins when you stop performing for the world and start building yourself in private. People think attention equals power, but attention fades. Real power is when people notice your absence. It's when your presence changes the atmosphere. And that doesn't come from pretending to be more than you are. It comes from becoming more than you were. It comes from investing in yourself when no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when no one even believes in you yet. That kind of self-focus, that kind of internal grind creates an aura that can't be faked. It's not built on hype, it's built on substance. To become someone who stands out, you have to be willing to stand alone. That means refusing to follow every trend, resisting the urge to fit in, and choosing the path of discipline over distraction. It means being okay with not being liked by everyone because you're not living to impress them. You're living to grow. Most people dilute their power trying to be accepted. They hide their true selves behind layers of approval-seeking behaviors. And in doing so, they lose what makes them magnetic in the first place, authenticity. You weren't born to blend in, you weren't designed to be average, but you can't rise if your mindset is tied to validation. You can't shine if your energy is constantly scattered, trying to keep up with what everyone else is doing. The loudest room isn't always the most powerful. The most powerful person is often the one who says the least but moves with the most intention. Power isn't in the volume, it's in the vibration. And when you're focused on yourself, building silently, you start vibrating on a frequency that people feel, even if they can't explain it. That's why you need to protect your energy. Your energy is your currency. Where you invest it determines what you become. If you're constantly investing it in drama, distractions, or fake connections, you'll feel drained, lost, and unfulfilled. But if you invest it in growth, discipline, and clarity, you become magnetic without even trying. You attract what you are. And when your energy is clean, focused, and elevated, you naturally repel anything that doesn't serve your purpose. There's a difference between being seen and being known. Being seen is surface level. Being known requires depth, and depth only comes from doing the internal work, the hard work that no one applauds, the healing that no one sees, the sacrifices that go unnoticed. When you do that kind of work, you walk differently, you speak differently, you no longer chase opportunities, you attract them. You no longer beg for attention, you command it. That's the difference between noise and presence. Focusing on yourself doesn't mean isolating yourself from the world. It means elevating yourself so you can move through the world with intention. It's about tuning into your inner world so deeply that the outer world can no longer shake your peace. When you do that, you become the type of person who doesn't have to say much to make an impact. Your energy speaks for you. Your consistency speaks for you. Your growth speaks for you. You have to train yourself to be okay with not getting applause while you're building. Everyone wants the reward, but few are willing to endure the process. The process is where your character is built. It's where your resilience is tested, and it's where your presence is forged. While others are focused on showcasing a life, You focus on building one. While others are addicted to being seen, you become obsessed with becoming someone worth remembering. Power belongs to those who can be alone without feeling lonely, to those who can stay focused when distractions are everywhere, to those who choose alignment over attention. When you master your focus and protect your energy, you become rare. And in a world full of noise, rare is unforgettable. The moment you stop seeking validation is the moment you start living with true freedom. Most people walk through life shackled, not by chains they can see, but by invisible expectations and opinions that hold them back. They shape their identity around what others think, constantly adjusting, performing, and suppressing their true selves just to be accepted. This need for approval is so deeply embedded that many don't even realize it's running their life. Every post, every decision, every relationship becomes filtered through the question, will they like me for this? And in that moment, you hand over your power. Living for validation is a trap that guarantees emptiness. No matter how much you do, it's never enough. The applause fades, the likes disappear, the praise loses its thrill. You're left constantly chasing the next moment of acceptance, and it's exhausting. What's worse is that the more you mold yourself to fit into someone else's version of who you should be, the further you drift from who you really are. You become a stranger to your own soul. You lose your own voice trying to echo theirs. That's why focusing on yourself means detaching from the need for validation. It means understanding that your worth is not up for debate. It doesn't fluctuate based on how others perceive you. True confidence is quiet. It's not loud or showy. It's the inner knowing that you are enough without performance, without approval, without applause. It's built in solitude, in moments of reflection, in decisions where you choose yourself, even when it's unpopular. It's in those moments that you reclaim your identity. Not the version people expect, but the version that feels real to you. This doesn't mean you ignore feedback or become arrogant. It means you learn to separate constructive input from emotional dependency. You take what helps you grow and leave what's designed to control you. When you detach from the need to be liked, you start making decisions based on alignment, not acceptance. You move from being reactive to being intentional. And that's when real transformation begins. Letting go of validation opens space for authenticity. It allows you to show up as yourself, not a curated version, not a watered down version, but the raw, real, unapologetic you. And that version is powerful. That version doesn't need to chase. It attracts. That version doesn't shrink to make others comfortable. It expands to create space for others to rise with it. Authenticity isn't about being perfect. It's about being rooted. When you're rooted in who you are, no storm can pull you out of alignment. The truth is, not everyone will like you. Not everyone will understand your choices. Some will criticize you no matter what you do. That's not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their own limitations. You don't need to explain your vision to people who are not assigned to your destiny. You don't need to defend your growth to those committed to staying the same. Your job is not to be liked. Your job is to be real, to be aligned, and to walk boldly in your truth. People respect authenticity, even if they don't agree with it. They can sense when someone is moving from a place of self-awareness rather than self-promotion. And that kind of presence, that kind of energy is magnetic. It creates impact, not because it's polished, but because it's honest. When you stop chasing validation, you start attracting connection, not fake attention, but real resonance. People who see you, not your mask. Focusing on yourself gives you the space to heal, to evolve, and to build without noise. It allows you to discover what you truly want, not what you've been conditioned to want. You begin to live with intention, clarity, and peace. You stop reacting to everything and you start responding with purpose. And in that space, you find something priceless, self-respect. That's the kind of respect no one can give or take away from you because it's rooted in self-honesty, Validation is a moving target, but self-worth is a solid foundation. When you stop living for approval, you finally start living for growth. You're no longer performing, you're transforming. You're no longer impressing, you're impacting. And you're no longer waiting to be chosen, you've already chosen yourself. The world often celebrates speed, but power lies in direction. Many people are moving fast, but in circles. They're hustling without clarity, grinding without vision, running toward goals they never questioned, all because they've been conditioned to believe that more is always better. But when you pause and truly focus on yourself, you begin to realize that movement without purpose is just noise. It's easy to get caught up in the race, comparing your timeline to others, measuring your worth by someone else's success, and mistaking activity for progress. But none of that brings fulfillment. What brings fulfillment is alignment. When your actions are rooted in your values, your vision, and your truth. Self-focus isn't about being selfish. It's about being strategic. It's about knowing what you're building and why. When you're grounded in who you are, you stop letting distractions pull you in every direction. You stop reacting to every demand, every trend, every opinion. You start responding with clarity. You begin saying no without guilt and yes without fear. Your decisions stop coming from insecurity and start coming from intention. And that shift changes everything, not just what you do, but how you feel while doing it. Most people don't know what they want because they've never slowed down long enough to ask. They're too busy consuming the lives of others to create their own. They get lost in comparison, trying to mimic the blueprint of someone else's journey, never realizing that their path requires a different kind of foundation. But the moment you stop looking sideways and start looking inward, you begin to uncover your real goals, the ones that feel right, not just look. That's when life starts moving differently, not faster, but deeper, not louder, but more aligned. Because focusing on yourself means asking the hard questions. What do I value? What do I believe in? What makes me come alive? What kind of life do I actually want to build? And am I willing to let go of what doesn't serve that vision? These questions are not easy, but they're necessary because without them, you end up building a life that looks successful on the outside, but feels hollow on the inside. You may impress people, but you won't inspire yourself. And nothing feels more empty than living someone else's definition of success. When you get intentional about your focus, you stop chasing every opportunity. You start evaluating whether it fits your purpose. You stop needing every door to open because you realize some doors lead to places you were never meant to be. That's where true freedom comes in, not from having everything, but from knowing what to walk away from. And you can't know what to walk away from unless you've spent time getting clear on where you're going. Clarity doesn't come from overthinking. It comes from movement, from taking small steps in the direction that feels right and adjusting as you grow. It's a process of alignment, not perfection. You don't need to have every answer to start. You just need the courage to trust your intuition and the discipline to act on it. And when you do, the noise fades. The pressure to compete disappears. You start showing up for your life in a way that's powerful because it's personal. Staying focused on yourself also requires boundaries. Not everyone will understand your journey. Some people will try to project their fears onto your path. Others will try to pull you back into comfort zones you've outgrown. That's why boundaries are essential. They're not walls to keep people out. They're filters to protect your energy. When you're focused, you become selective. You stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You stop proving your worth to people who don't value you. You know what you're building, and that knowing is enough. Your focus becomes your power. Whatever you give energy to grows. So if you keep feeding distractions, doubt, and drama, don't be surprised when they expand. But if you consistently invest in your goals, your mindset, your health, your healing, those things begin to multiply. Your life begins to reflect your discipline. And that's how momentum is created. Not through force, but through consistency rooted in clarity. When you focus on yourself with intention, everything begins to align. Your thoughts, your choices, your energy, your outcomes. You begin to move with purpose instead of pressure. You begin to operate from vision, not reaction. And in that space, success becomes sustainable because it's not built on burnout, it's built on truth. The strongest version of you is not the one who reacts to everything, but the one who remains calm, focused, and unshaken no matter what's happening around them. In a world full of noise, pressure, and constant demands, your real strength is measured by your ability to stay centered. Most people live in a state of constant reaction, triggered by words, affected by opinions, disturbed by delays, and pulled into chaos that doesn't even belong to them. But power is not in reacting. It's in choosing your response. And that choice begins when you focus on your inner world more than the outer noise. When you build the kind of inner discipline that keeps you grounded, life becomes less about controlling everything and more about mastering how you show up. Challenges will still come. People will still test your patience. But instead of losing yourself, you observe, you assess, and you move with intention. That is what separates the powerful from the average. The ability to protect your peace in the middle of the storm. When you own your energy, you stop allowing everything outside of you to dictate your mood, your decisions, and your direction. Too often, people confuse chaos with productivity. They think being busy means being successful. But being busy doesn't mean you're aligned. It just means you're moving. And movement without clarity only creates burnout. The reason so many feel drained is because they're constantly pouring their energy into things that don't feed their soul. They fight battles that don't belong to them, hold on to people who weigh them down, and react to situations that steal their focus. Focusing on yourself means choosing your peace over performance. It means refusing to sacrifice your mental state just to prove a point or win an argument that doesn't matter in the long run. There is freedom in restraint. There is wisdom in silence, and there is power in walking away. When you begin to master your reactions, you start making decisions that align with your values rather than your emotions. Your emotions are valid, but they're not always accurate. Reacting out of anger, fear, or insecurity may feel powerful in the moment, but it rarely leads to peace. Real power is when you can feel all of that, sit with it, understand it, and still choose the higher path. That level of control comes from inner work, and inner work comes from consistent focus on your growth. One of the greatest signs of maturity is realizing you don't have to attend every conflict you're invited to. Just because someone tries to trigger you doesn't mean you have to respond. Just because someone disrespects you doesn't mean you have to lower yourself to their level. When you're focused on yourself and your journey, you start seeing things differently. You understand that not every battle is yours to fight, and not every opinion deserves your attention. You become more selective with your energy, and that's when you begin to rise. Stillness is not weakness, it is clarity. When you are still, you can hear your own thoughts, you can feel your intuition, you can evaluate without pressure, you can lead yourself instead of being led by impulse. Most people fear stillness because they've filled their lives with so much noise that silence feels uncomfortable. But silence is where your power is refined. When you sit with your own thoughts, your own desires, your own truth, you begin to see what truly matters. You begin to act from a place of wisdom, not desperation. The calmest person in the room is often the most dangerous, not because they are loud, but because they are unshakable. They've done the work. They've faced their shadows. They've learned to breathe through chaos. They've mastered the art of not reacting to every external shift. That kind of discipline doesn't just happen, it's built. It's built in daily decisions, in the way you start your morning and how you speak to yourself, in how you let go of what doesn't serve you. It's a lifestyle, not a moment. Focusing on yourself gives you the space to develop this discipline. It allows you to protect your mind from overthinking, your heart from unnecessary pain, and your soul from being drained by chaos. You start setting the tone for your life instead of letting life toss you around. And the more you stay centered, the more clearly you see the path ahead, not because the world changes, but because you do. There comes a time in life when you have to make a decision. Either keep playing small to fit into spaces that no longer serve your growth, or step into your power, even if it means standing alone. Many people shrink themselves to avoid conflict, to be accepted, or to maintain relationships that have long expired their purpose. They dim their light because they fear it might make others uncomfortable. They lower their standards to avoid being labeled as too much, but the cost of that comfort is too high. It's your potential, your peace, and your purpose. When you decide to stop shrinking and finally step into who you were meant to be, your entire life begins to change. The truth is, people will only meet you as deeply as they've met themselves. So when you start rising, when you begin growing, healing, evolving, they may not understand it. Some will resist your growth because it exposes their stagnation. Some will try to pull you back because your change threatens their comfort zone. But growth is not a group activity. It's personal. And the higher you climb, the fewer people can breathe at your altitude. You weren't created to live a life of mediocrity, constantly suppressing your greatness just to be relatable. You were made to rise. You were made to expand. And that requires courage. Focusing on yourself means recognizing when something or someone is keeping you small. It means being honest enough to say, this no longer fits who I am becoming. Whether it's a job, a friendship, a habit, or an identity you've outgrown, you must be willing to release what no longer reflects your highest self. Because holding on to the old version of you just to keep others comfortable is not loyalty, it's self-abandonment. And there is no growth in that. The person you are becoming deserves space to breathe, to stretch, to fully exist without apology. There is power in realizing that you are not responsible for other people's reactions to your growth. Your only responsibility is to honor your evolution, to keep showing up even when it's uncomfortable, to keep growing even when it means letting go, and to keep walking forward even when the path is unfamiliar. The process of becoming your fullest self requires isolation sometimes. Not because you're better than anyone, but because clarity is often found in solitude. That's where you hear your own voice again. That's where you stop being influenced by the expectations of others and start tuning into your own truth. Choosing not to shrink means standing firm in your values, even if it makes you unpopular. It means honoring your boundaries, even when people call you selfish. It means staying focused on your vision, even when the crowd moves in a different direction. You have to be willing to outgrow what no longer aligns with your soul. And not everyone will applaud that. Some will try to guilt you. Some will try to manipulate you into shrinking again. But those who truly support your growth will never ask you to become less of yourself to make them feel more secure. One of the most powerful shifts you can make is realizing you don't need to explain your evolution. You don't owe anyone a justification for why you're choosing better for yourself. Growth doesn't come with a permission slip. It comes with a decision. And once you make that decision, everything around you begins to reflect it. Your conversations change, your priorities shift, your environment transforms. Because when you stop shrinking, you start attracting the people, places, and opportunities that match your expanded self. Living small might feel safe, but it's not fulfilling. You were not designed to stay hidden. You were meant to make an impact, to use your voice, to bring your unique gifts into the world unapologetically. That requires boldness, that requires discomfort, but most importantly, it requires focus, the kind of focus that keeps your eyes on your purpose, not on people's opinions. You become less available for drama, for distractions, for energy that drains you. You start reserving your time, your mind, and your space for what truly matters. You start choosing peace over people-pleasing. You start showing up with intention instead of insecurity. You stop waiting for permission to be great and realize that the only approval you ever needed was your own. And when you live from that place, from the wholeness of knowing who you are and what you're capable of, you become unstoppable. Not because everything is easy, but because you are aligned, because you are rooted, because you no longer shrink, you rise. Success is often seen as a destination, a goal to reach, or an achievement to unlock. But the truth is, success is a byproduct of a mindset that prioritizes growth, resilience, and relentless focus on what truly matters. When you focus on yourself and cultivate the right attitude, success stops being a distant dream and becomes a natural consequence of your daily habits and choices. It is not about luck or timing. It is about consistency and clarity. Many people chase success by trying to please others or by following external expectations. They work hard to fit into molds designed by society, culture, or family, often neglecting their own desires and values. This creates a conflict inside, a constant tension between who they are and who they think they should be. The result is frustration, exhaustion, and a lack of fulfillment. But when you shift your focus inward and begin to align your actions with your true self, success starts to flow effortlessly because it is no longer about proving anything to anyone. It is about becoming your best version. Attitude is the lens through which you view the world. It colors your perception, shapes your actions, and ultimately defines your reality. A positive, growth-oriented attitude transforms obstacles into opportunities and failures into lessons. It teaches you to embrace challenges as essential parts of your journey rather than reasons to give up. When you focus on yourself with the right attitude, setbacks lose their power because you understand that each one is simply feedback, a chance to recalibrate and improve. This resilience is what separates those who succeed from those who get stuck. Focus on yourself means becoming aware of your thoughts, your emotions, and your habits. It means observing your inner dialogue and choosing to feed your mind with empowering beliefs rather than limiting fears. Your attitude is a muscle that can be strengthened with practice. Every time you catch yourself thinking negatively, you have an opportunity to shift that thought into something more constructive. Over time, these small shifts compound, creating a mindset that is both optimistic and realistic, a mindset grounded in possibility and purpose. Another crucial part of success is patience. In a world driven by instant gratification, many expect quick results and become discouraged when progress is slow. But focusing on yourself teaches you the value of patience, the understanding that meaningful growth takes time and that consistent effort will always pay off. You learn to trust the process and to remain committed even when the outcome isn't immediately visible. This endurance keeps you moving forward when others give up, giving you a distinct advantage. Discipline is the bridge between goals and achievement. Without it, even the clearest vision and the most positive attitude cannot sustain momentum. Focusing on yourself means cultivating discipline in your daily routines, whether it's how you manage your time, your energy, or your priorities. It means saying no to distractions and yes to actions that align with your purpose. Discipline is not about punishment or rigidity. It's about respect for yourself and your dream. It's the way you show up for yourself day after day, even when motivation wanes. Gratitude also plays a pivotal role in shaping your attitude towards success. When you focus on what you have instead of what you lack, you shift your energy from scarcity to abundance. Gratitude reminds you of the progress you've already made and fuels your desire to keep going. It softens the harshness of setbacks and opens your heart to joy in the present moment. This balanced perspective is essential for sustainable success because it grounds you in reality while keeping you hopeful for the future. Surrounding yourself with the right environment is another aspect of focusing on yourself that cannot be overlooked. Your attitude is influenced by the people you spend time with, the content you consume, and the spaces you inhabit. When you curate your environment to support your growth, by choosing relationships that uplift, learning from mentors who inspire, and engaging with material that challenges and educates, you create a positive feedback loop. This ecosystem nurtures your mindset and makes it easier to maintain the attitude necessary for success. Focusing on yourself with the right attitude means taking full ownership of your life. It means recognizing that you are responsible for your happiness, your growth, and your achievements. No one else can do this work for you, and no one else's approval is required. This ownership is liberating because it puts the power back in your hands. You stop blaming circumstances, people, or luck, and start realizing that you have everything you need to create the life you want. When your attitude is aligned with your purpose and your focus is unwavering, success becomes inevitable. It's not about avoiding failure or pain, but about how you respond to them. It's about having the courage to keep going, the wisdom to learn, and the humility to grow. Success is the natural outcome of a focused mind, a strong heart, and a resilient spirit. Qualities that come from investing deeply in yourself every single day. One of the most overlooked yet transformative aspects of focusing on yourself is learning how to set boundaries and protect your energy. Boundaries are not walls meant to isolate you. Rather, they are the lines you draw to safeguard your peace, your time, and your emotional well-being. When you don't establish clear limits, you risk becoming overwhelmed, depleted, and disconnected from your true self. People-pleasing, overcommitting, and saying yes out of obligation can drain your energy and blur your priorities, leaving you stuck in a cycle of stress and frustration. But when you focus on yourself, setting boundaries becomes an act of self-respect, a declaration that your time and peace are valuable. Many people struggle with boundaries because they fear rejection, conflict, or disappointing others. They believe that saying no will hurt relationships or make them appear selfish. But true connection is built on honesty and mutual respect. When you honor your limits, you teach others how to treat you. You model self-love and demonstrate that your needs are just as important as anyone else's. This shift in perspective is crucial because it moves you from a place of scarcity, where you think you must sacrifice yourself for acceptance, to a place of abundance, where healthy relationships flourish because they are balanced and authentic. Boundaries also create clarity. When you know what you will and won't accept, decision-making becomes easier. You waste less time and energy on things that don't serve your growth or align with your values. This clarity helps you focus on what truly matters: your goals, your health, your happiness. It empowers you to say yes with intention and no without guilt. Over time, this practice strengthens your confidence and your sense of self-worth, reinforcing the idea that you are deserving of respect and care. Protecting your energy goes hand in hand with boundaries. Energy is your most valuable resource because it affects every aspect of your life, from your productivity and creativity to your emotional resilience and physical health. When you surround yourself with negativity, drama, or people who drain you, your energy diminishes. You become more susceptible to stress, burnout, and emotional exhaustion. Focusing on yourself means being mindful of where and how you invest your energy. It means choosing environments, activities, and relationships that uplift and inspire you rather than deplete you. This doesn't mean you avoid challenges or difficult people altogether, but rather that you approach them with awareness and self-care. You learn to recharge your energy regularly through rest, reflection, and practices that nourish your mind and body. You recognize when you need to step back and protect your space, even if it means disappointing others temporarily. Because the truth is, when you are full and centered, you are better equipped to show up fully for others without losing yourself in the process. Another important aspect of focusing on yourself is learning to listen to your intuition. Your intuition is your internal compass. It guides you toward what feels right and away from what doesn't. When your energy is protected and your boundaries are clear, your intuition becomes louder and easier to trust. You start to recognize the subtle signals your body and mind send when something is off. This awareness allows you to make decisions that align with your highest good instead of reacting impulsively or out of fear. Learning to say no is a form of empowerment. It is a skill that grows stronger the more you practice it. At first, it may feel uncomfortable or even selfish, but over time, it becomes liberating. Saying no is not about shutting people out. It's about creating space for what truly matters. It's about honoring your commitments to yourself and your dreams. When you say no to distractions, drama, and unnecessary obligations, you say yes to your growth, your peace, and your purpose. Self-care is deeply connected to boundaries and energy protection. It is not indulgence or laziness. It is a necessary practice to maintain balance and well-being. When you focus on yourself, self-care becomes a priority rather than an afterthought. You understand that taking care of your mental, emotional, and physical health is the foundation upon which all success and happiness rest. This might look like setting aside time for rest, pursuing hobbies that bring joy, practicing mindfulness, or seeking support when needed. Whatever form it takes, self-care is a powerful act of self-love that reinforces your boundaries and nurtures your energy. Focusing on yourself also means being honest about your limitations. It means recognizing that you can't pour from an empty cup. You are not obligated to meet everyone's expectations or solve everyone's problems. This acceptance is freeing because it removes unnecessary pressure and guilt. It allows you to prioritize your well-being without shame. And when you do this consistently, you create a life that is sustainable, balanced, and deeply fulfilling. When your boundaries are strong and your energy is protected, you become less reactive and more intentional. You respond to situations rather than react impulsively. You conserve your strength for what truly requires your attention and let go of what doesn't. This kind of focus is powerful because it increases your effectiveness and enhances your overall quality of life. You become a magnet for positive experiences and relationships because you are clear about who you are and what you stand for. In the end, focusing on yourself by setting boundaries and protecting your energy is not selfish. It is necessary. It is the foundation for building a life that honors your worth and supports your dreams. It allows you to show up authentically, live intentionally, and create impact without sacrificing your peace. When you commit to this practice, you step into your power and open the door to a more joyful, balanced, and meaningful existence. True transformation begins when you embrace the power of self-awareness. This is the moment you stop blaming external circumstances or other people for where you are in life and start looking inward. Self-awareness is the foundation of personal growth because without it, you remain unconscious of the patterns, habits, and beliefs that either propel you forward or hold you back. It's not just about knowing who you are on the surface, but about diving deep into your thoughts, emotions, fears, and desires. When you focus on yourself with genuine self-awareness, you unlock the ability to make intentional choices that align with your authentic purpose. Many people go through life on autopilot, reacting to situations instead of responding thoughtfully. They repeat the same mistakes, fall into familiar traps, and wonder why their progress feels stagnant. The truth is, without self-awareness, it's impossible to break free from these cycles. When you cultivate self-awareness, you begin to see yourself clearly, your strengths, your weaknesses, your triggers, and your blind spots. This clarity is liberating because it gives you the power to change. You can't fix what you don't acknowledge, and self-awareness is the first step in that process. Self-awareness requires honesty, and that can be uncomfortable. It means facing the parts of yourself you might prefer to ignore, the doubts, insecurities, and limiting beliefs that whisper lies about your worth and potential. But it also means recognizing the greatness within you, the talents, passions, and resilience that have carried you through tough times. This dual awareness allows you to take ownership of your life. You no longer see yourself as a victim of circumstances, but as the architect of your reality. This shift in mindset is crucial because it changes how you approach challenges and opportunities. As you deepen your self-awareness, you become more attuned to your emotions and how they influence your decisions. Emotional intelligence is a key component of focusing on yourself because emotions often drive behavior, sometimes without conscious thought. When you learn to recognize your emotional responses, you gain control over them. Instead of being controlled by them, you can pause, reflect, and choose actions that serve your highest good rather than reacting impulsively. This mastery over your inner world translates into better relationships, clearer communication, and greater peace of mind. Another important aspect of self-awareness is understanding your values and priorities. When you focus on yourself, you begin to clarify what truly matters to you, what aligns with your soul and what doesn't. This clarity helps you make decisions that are not based on societal expectations or external pressures, but on your own truth. It empowers you to say no to things that distract or drain you, and yes to experiences that nourish your growth. Living in alignment with your values creates harmony and fulfillment because you are no longer divided between who you are and what you do. Self-awareness also brings greater accountability. When you see your role in creating your current reality, you take responsibility for your actions and choices. This ownership is empowering because it removes the excuse of helplessness and victimhood. Instead of waiting for circumstances to change or for someone else to fix things, you become proactive. You set goals, create plans, and take consistent steps toward your vision. This proactive approach generates momentum and builds confidence, reinforcing the belief that you have the power to shape your future. One of the most powerful tools for developing self-awareness is reflection. Taking time regularly to pause and assess your thoughts, feelings, and actions creates space for insight and growth. Journaling, meditation, or simply quiet contemplation can reveal patterns and prompt new perspectives. Reflection helps you identify what's working and what needs adjustment. It allows you to celebrate your progress and learn from your setbacks without judgment. This ongoing process of self-discovery keeps you aligned and intentional, preventing you from drifting into autopilot. Self-awareness also enhances your ability to set meaningful boundaries and protect your energy, as discussed earlier. When you understand your limits, needs, and triggers, you can communicate them clearly and stand firm in your decisions. This clarity reduces stress and creates healthier interactions because you are no longer overextending yourself or ignoring your well-being. Instead, you operate from a place of self-respect and authenticity, which naturally attracts respect from others. Importantly, self-awareness fosters compassion for yourself and for others. As you become more conscious of your own struggles and growth, you develop empathy and patience. You recognize that everyone is on their own journey, facing battles that may not be visible. This compassion softens judgment and opens the door for more genuine connections. It also nurtures forgiveness, both for yourself and those who may have hurt you, freeing you from resentment and bitterness. When you focus on yourself with self-awareness, you also cultivate adaptability. Life is unpredictable, and the ability to pivot when necessary is essential for long-term success and happiness. Self-awareness keeps you grounded in your core values while allowing flexibility in your approach. It helps you embrace change rather than resist it, seeing challenges as opportunities to learn and evolve. This mindset reduces fear and increases resilience, enabling you to navigate life's ups and downs with grace. Self-awareness is a lifelong practice, not a one-time achievement. It requires commitment and courage to face your truth honestly and consistently, but the rewards are profound. You gain clarity about who you are, what you want, and how to get there. You develop emotional mastery, deepen your relationships, and create a life that reflects your authentic self. The level of focus on yourself becomes the foundation for all other growth, success, and fulfillment because it grounds you in truth and empowers you to live intentionally every day. The journey of focusing on yourself is incomplete without understanding the vital role that persistence plays in achieving lasting success. Persistence is the unwavering commitment to your goals and vision, especially when faced with obstacles, setbacks, or moments of doubt. It is the determination to keep moving forward regardless of how difficult the path becomes. Without persistence, even the most talented and motivated individuals can falter. Success is rarely instantaneous. It is built through repeated efforts, learning from failures, and refusing to give up when things get tough. So many people start with enthusiasm but lose momentum when they encounter challenges. The initial excitement fades, and the discomfort of hard work or failure causes them to retreat. But focusing on yourself means cultivating the grit to push through these moments. It means embracing the idea that every setback is temporary and an essential part of the growth process. Persistence separates those who achieve their dreams from those who only wish for them. It is not about stubbornness or blind endurance, but about smart, consistent effort fueled by passion and belief in your purpose. When you focus on yourself, persistence becomes an expression of self-respect. You honor your goals by showing up daily, even when motivation wanes or distractions arise. You understand that progress is not always visible or linear, but that does not diminish its value. Every small step counts because it builds habits and momentum. This mindset helps you avoid the trap of instant gratification, which can lead to impatience and quitting too soon. Instead, persistence teaches you to trust the process and keep your eyes on the bigger picture. Persistence also strengthens your resilience. Life will inevitably throw challenges your way, whether in the form of failures, criticism, or unexpected circumstances. Without resilience, these obstacles can derail your progress and shake your confidence. But with persistence, you develop the mental toughness to face adversity head on. You learn to adapt, adjust your strategies, and keep moving forward with renewed determination. This resilience not only advances your goals, but also shapes you into a stronger, wiser person. An important aspect of persistence is the willingness to learn and improve continuously. It is not simply about repeating the same actions over and over, but about evolving with each experience. When you focus on yourself, you become open to feedback and self-reflection, using setbacks as opportunities for growth rather than reasons to quit. This growth mindset fuels persistence by turning obstacles into valuable lessons. You start to see failure not as defeat, but as an essential part of the journey toward mastery and success. Persistence also requires patience. It is the ability to endure the wait and keep working steadily without immediate rewards. This patience is crucial because significant achievements often take longer than expected. Many give up just before their breakthrough because they lack the patience to see their efforts through. Focusing on yourself means cultivating patience alongside persistence, knowing that true success is built over time. This balance between action and patience creates a powerful combination that sustains you through both highs and lows. Another element of persistence is maintaining your vision and motivation despite distractions and discouragement. In a world full of noise and competing demands, it's easy to lose focus or doubt your path. But when you focus on yourself, you clarify your why, the reason behind your goals. This purpose acts as a guiding light, helping you stay committed even when external circumstances are challenging. It reminds you of what you're working toward and fuels the determination to keep going. Persistence also deepens your belief in yourself. Each time you overcome a hurdle, no matter how small, you reinforce your confidence and trust in your abilities. This self-belief is essential because it propels you forward when motivation is low or when others question your choices. It becomes an internal source of strength that anchors you in difficult moments. When you focus on yourself with persistence, you become your own greatest supporter, championing your progress and celebrating your victories. Importantly, persistence builds momentum, which is critical for long-term success. The more consistent your efforts, the easier it becomes to maintain your progress. Momentum creates positive energy and motivation, making subsequent challenges feel more manageable. It also attracts opportunities and resources because people are drawn to those who demonstrate commitment and reliability. By focusing on yourself and persisting, you create a virtuous cycle where each step forward opens the door for the next. Persistence is not about perfection, it's about progress. It's about showing up, learning, adjusting, and moving forward, even if imperfectly. When you focus on yourself, you accept that mistakes and failures are part of the process. You don't let them define you or stop you. Instead, you use them as stepping stones on your path. This acceptance frees you from fear of failure and encourages experimentation and innovation. It allows you to take risks that are necessary for growth and breakthrough. When you cultivate persistence, you also develop discipline. Discipline is the habit of doing what needs to be done regardless of how you feel. It is the backbone of persistence because motivation alone is not enough to sustain long-term effort. Discipline keeps you consistent, focused, and productive. When you focus on yourself, you prioritize building this discipline by creating routines, setting goals, and holding yourself accountable. This structure supports your persistence and turns your vision into reality. In essence, persistence is the bridge between dreams and achievements. It transforms your attitude from wishing and hoping into doing and becoming. Focusing on yourself means embracing persistence as a way of life, showing up every day with commitment, resilience, and belief. It means trusting that your efforts, no matter how small, are building something meaningful and lasting. Persistence turns challenges into triumphs and setbacks into comebacks. It is the relentless force that drives you toward your fullest potential. When you truly focus on yourself, you come to realize that gratitude is one of the most powerful attitudes you can cultivate. Gratitude shifts your perspective from what is lacking to what is abundant in your life. It rewires your brain to notice opportunities rather than obstacles, blessings rather than burdens. This shift is not just a feel-good concept. It transforms the way you experience every moment and influences your overall mindset. Gratitude anchors you in the present, reminding you that even amidst challenges, there is always something to appreciate. This simple practice fosters contentment and fuels your motivation to keep moving forward. Many people overlook gratitude because they are caught up in striving for more. More success, more recognition, more comfort. While ambition is important, an unbalanced focus on what's next can lead to dissatisfaction and burnout. When you focus on yourself, you learn to balance ambition with appreciation. You acknowledge the progress you've made, the lessons you've learned, and the strengths you've developed. This acknowledgement creates a positive feedback loop that energizes your journey rather than draining it. Gratitude becomes a source of strength that supports your goals and nourishes your spirit. Practicing gratitude also rewires your emotional response to setbacks and failures. Instead of dwelling on what went wrong or what you lost, gratitude helps you see the silver lining. It encourages you to find lessons in every experience, no matter how difficult. This perspective fosters resilience because it shifts your focus from victimhood to empowerment. When you focus on yourself with gratitude, you take control of your narrative. You choose to see yourself as growing, learning, and evolving rather than defeated or stuck. Gratitude also deepens your relationships and connections. When you appreciate the people around you, you foster positive interactions and build trust. Expressing gratitude, whether through words or actions, strengthens bonds and creates a supportive environment. This support is vital when you are focused on personal growth because it provides encouragement and accountability. Surrounding yourself with people who uplift you and sharing your appreciation for them creates a cycle of positivity that enhances your overall well-being. Another important aspect of gratitude is that it cultivates humility. When you recognize that your achievements and successes are often the result of collective effort, timing, and sometimes luck, you develop a grounded sense of self. This humility keeps you open to learning and growth rather than arrogance or complacency. It also fosters empathy because you appreciate the struggles and contributions of others. Focusing on yourself with gratitude means honoring not only your journey, but also the interconnectedness of life. This gratitude practice can be simple, but must be consistent to be effective. It can start with small daily rituals, such as writing down 3 things you are grateful for each morning, or reflecting on positive moments before bed. Over time, these small acts train your mind to notice and appreciate the good in your life automatically. This consistent focus on positivity strengthens your mental and emotional resilience, making it easier to stay motivated and optimistic even when facing challenges. When you focus on yourself, gratitude also enhances your self-worth. Recognizing the good in your life and the progress you've made reinforces your belief that you are deserving of happiness and success. This positive reinforcement counters negative self-talk and self-doubt, which often sabotage personal growth. Gratitude nurtures a loving relationship with yourself, where you honor your efforts and celebrate your uniqueness. This self-love is foundational because it motivates you to take better care of your needs, set healthy boundaries, and pursue your passions with confidence. Importantly, gratitude shifts your energy. It moves you from a state of lack or frustration to a state of abundance and possibility. This shift attracts more positive experiences and opportunities because like energy attracts like energy. When you radiate gratitude, you become a magnet for good things. This is not magical thinking, but the natural outcome of a mindset that focuses on positivity, solutions, and growth. Focusing on yourself with gratitude aligns your actions with your values and intentions, creating a harmonious flow that propels you forward. Gratitude also softens the inner critic that many people struggle with. Instead of harsh judgment or perfectionism, gratitude encourages acceptance and kindness toward yourself. It reminds you to appreciate your efforts even when results fall short of expectations. This compassionate attitude reduces stress and anxiety, freeing you to take risks and embrace challenges with courage. When you focus on yourself with a grateful heart, you create a safe internal environment where growth can flourish. Gratitude connects you to the present moment. In a fast-paced world, it's easy to become distracted by worries about the future or regrets from the past. Gratitude grounds you in what is real and immediate, the here and now. This mindfulness enhances your ability to savor life's joys and handle difficulties with grace. It cultivates peace and contentment that are not dependent on external circumstances, but arise from within. When you focus on yourself through the lens of gratitude, you cultivate a deep sense of fulfillment that transcends temporary successes or failures. Gratitude encourages generosity. When you recognize the abundance in your life, you naturally want to share it with others. This generosity creates a ripple effect, spreading positivity and kindness in your community and beyond. Giving back, whether through time, resources, or support, reinforces your sense of purpose and connection. It reminds you that focusing on yourself is not selfish, but part of a larger cycle of giving and receiving that enriches everyone involved. By cultivating gratitude, you create a powerful foundation for personal growth and happiness. It transforms your mindset, strengthens your resilience, and deepens your relationships. Gratitude fuels your motivation, nurtures your self-worth, and aligns your energy with your goals. When you focus on yourself with a grateful heart, you unlock a source of joy and strength that carries you through every challenge and propels you toward your highest potential. Everything you need, discipline, vision, strength, resilience, clarity, it's already within you. It just needs your attention, your belief, your focus. The world will try to pull you away from yourself. It will tell you to fit in, to blend, to water yourself down. But you didn't come this far to stay hidden. You didn't survive what you survived just to be average. You didn't fight through all that pain just to end up people-pleasing again. Focus on yourself, protect your energy, elevate your attitude, and become who you were always meant to be. Because the truth is, attitude is everything, and when your focus and your attitude are aligned, you become unstoppable.